Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're going to do a book review for A King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. And this book is full of steamy vampire goodness. First off, this cover design is so beautiful with its gold and different shades of red, from the flowers to the blood, and the leaves from the roses. So beautiful. That was really a really nice touch. Though what really got me wanting to read the book was the description of it. Ooh, yeah, that really got me in, because you want one, vampires, two, a romancy, angsty kind of thing wrapped in mystery and intrigue, and you just want to find out if Isolde is going to succeed. So yep, that drew me in for the first time of hearing about it. I would say that the pacing of this book is pretty good. The steamy bits and the actiony bits get going almost right away, and they are kind of a lot throughout the book. Then there are also the more introspective bits with her inner monologue. That part actually did get a tad bit repetitive, because the inner monologue isn't really changing much from the, why is this? It's the same kind of argument in your head. We should probably give that inner monologue, though, a bit of leeway, because pretty much anyone in this situation would probably start having those arguments with herself repeatedly. So I guess we have to give that part a pass. The setting of this book is the land of Cordova, where most of the land is ruled over by the kingdoms of the 9 houses. Our other portion of the land is controlled by the country of Revka, ruled over by the vampire lord Adrian Vasilibos. Names. 200 years ago, the sky above Revka turned red. Then the vampires started to appear. Not too long after, other similar-ish vampiric monsters appeared. It's very interesting. Probably some of these names have been used in other folklores before. I think I recognize maybe 2 of them as being similar to something I've heard, but each different little vampiric type monster is like maybe a vampire subspecies, kind of, and they each have a different name. It's not like the common people in the other countries all just classify any blood-sucking thing as a vampire. So it's very interesting how in-depth the culture and the lore is about all the different vampire species. And they know that vampires are kind of the top of the food chain for that, because they still can think and have intelligence like other men, whereas all the other ones kind of degrade in intelligence and wits. Maybe none of the other ones talk like humans, really, but they still might be smart enough hunters and something like that to be dangerous in their own ways. Our main point of view and character for this book is Isolde de Lara, who is the crown princess of the kingdom of Lara. As with most people in the 9 kingdoms, she has a very deep hatred for the vampires, and is currently seeing the vampire army that has been conquering the land camped out on the border of her country. And you learn from the first few pages that she is not just some simpering princess. All the women in her kingdom, and I believe most of the neighboring kingdoms, receive a form of combat self-defense training with blades or some other sort of weapon to be able to defend themselves against the monsters that are roaming their land. This princess, though, she is even more trained and skilled than most of the people there, that you can see when she has interactions with other court ladies who are far more reserved and not so bold. Our princess is packing, and she is viewing this army. She has a wrist sheath on each arm, and she has a full blade, and she is feisty, smart, and temperamental. She's not gonna just sit back and let things happen. She believes she is going to rule her kingdom by herself. She does not need to get married. She's prepared to defend her people. She does so also within the first few pages from being attacked by one of the lesser categories of vampire. In turn is also how she meets King Adrian. That first meeting, oh my god, the sparks flying, because she doesn't know who he is. She just can tell he's a vampire. So she's hating him, and all of a sudden feeling very, very attracted to him. She doesn't understand why. And all he does is talk Let's stick to her. He doesn't know who she is either at this point. He was tracking the monster that she just killed and was super impressed by the fact that she dispatched it. And he's not trying to hurt her or threaten her at all, even though there's this army of his camped at her doorstep. He's already received communications from her father, the king, saying that he would rather sit down, talk peacefully, surrender his kingdom to the army than risk lives of his citizens for no reason, because the vampire army is pretty much unstoppable because they're vampires, super strong. And that actually is a super smart decision. So the terms of surrender were already set up in place, and the two kings were supposed to meet that evening when Isolde and Adrian had run into each other. When Adrian comes to the palace to officially accept the surrender and he sees her there, all of a sudden things change. As part of the surrender and saying, I'm not going to wage war on these people, he requires that Isolde become his wife. She is super confused, super angry, but she agrees pretty quickly because to her, the protection of her people means everything. She agrees, and stuff goes a bit nuts. Even in the book jacket, it mentions that they get married, so that's not a spoiler. Not gonna delve into the spoilers here. From when they announced they would get married to them actually getting married, pretty much everybody assumed she was gonna kill him. They pitied that she had to get married to him, but they're like, Princess, you're gonna handle the threat. And she believes she would too. Also in the dust jacket, we know that she fails in that first attempt, and he threatens her with turning her into an immortal like him, which shocks the crap out of her because throughout all of their interactions, he is nothing but civil, nice to her. He is never angry, conqueror, warrior seeming. He's always nice to her. He promises her father he will protect her above himself. He's super gentlemanly. Also very silver-tongued, though, with his wit. He's very quick to whip with something she says to put her on edge too. So she gets angry with him a lot. And she's still he's a vampire, I should hate him, but why do I want him so much? And it's driving her nuts. So fun to read though. This book definitely does not shy away from the hot and heavy material either. Probably from the second chapter or so, you're starting to get some of this worked in there, and you find out very soon that Isolde is definitely not some innocent little princess. Even with the things that are happening between the two of them, she's hating him mostly. She's hating herself a little bit for the fact that she's liking it so much, but she's coming to realize he's the perfect kind of match for her. He matches everything she wants from a partner, and she's agreeing that, okay, this is okay. I'm going to make this bargain with myself where this can happen because it's awesome, but I'm still going to kill him. And oh well, I'll like it while it lasts. This book looked at the historical events leading up to what we're seeing take place right now. It developed the characters with growth and different personal outlook and world views to where you're not just trapped in this one person's mind and they're not able to change. They grew to understand each other. It also looked into how the events that happen in your life can shape what your future is going to be, what you want it to be, and how you are as a person. The things that happen to some of these characters change what their actions would be. Even from the distant past, how things are happening to them now, what they're going to do. And I would have preferably liked more world building, maybe with the continuations, but then again, that's the fantasy nerd in me. So the book is packed with steamy goodness, political intrigue, historical mystery, and a little bit of magic. I think that it's all of those elements probably. That's why I loved it. And any of them missing, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. Okay, well maybe if the steaminess wasn't there, it's still everything else would have still held together for me, because I'm a huge fantasy nerd, and the fantastical elements of it she did really well. And if it had been just coupley parts and not as much of pretty much any of the other ones, I probably wouldn't have cared for it, because books that rely too heavily on that, I just can't. That's okay. There's some people's cup of tea. Scarlett St. Clair was able to pull off a very intriguing, rich story here wrapped around the spicy elements, and that was awesome. I will definitely be continuing this series as she gets more out, as well as probably reading all of her other works at this point. I would definitely recommend this book to anybody who does like the romance genre just a little bit, because if you like the steamy romance, you'll definitely like it. If you like it just a little bit, but you like fantasy stories, you would like this. The way it builds it up, the in-depthness of things, you would like this. If you are just a more fluff romance reader, though, you probably would not, because it does get maybe too intense for that. Definitely a good book. that I would recommend most people to check out. And it is available pretty much everywhere now by Scarlet St. Clair. Those are all my thoughts on the book. I hope I didn't do too spoilery. I don't think I did. If you would actually like some spoiler-filled reviews, maybe, like a look more towards the later end of the book where we can talk about things that happened there with Isolde and character development and how the world shaped out, please let me know, and maybe we can do one more on that. I don't want to give too much away in these, so I'm going to let that be up to you guys. And thank you guys so much for watching, though, and I will talk to y'all later.